Hey, welcome everybody. We're so glad you're here. Those of you who are catching the replay, welcome. Welcome everybody. I am Erica Vole. I am a decision mentor and inner trust guide. And I am having conversations with women in midlife about trusting their voice. And this all inspired an article series that I wrote. The first one came out about women losing trust in their voices. Part 2 was all about regaining that trust in their voices. And this is all leading up to a workshop that I'm actually doing this coming Thursday on learning about your human design communication center. And today I'm so excited to welcome Priestess Erica Greye. She writes on Substack, excuse me, Your Living Altar, and she is one of the 15 women that I interviewed for this. So welcome, Priestess Erica. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what brought you to Substack.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone who's joining. My name is Priestess Erica. I'm the founder of Your Living Altar. This is a ministry, but what I do is I incorporate a creativity and intentional interior design in the home. And so I'm blending my creativity and spirituality, and I am guiding women in creating sacred order, ritual, routine, and it's on the foundation of building a living altar so that you can anchor into your sovereignty and learn more about who you are.
I love that. So what brought you to Substack?
Well, I was looking for a space where I could share myself authentically. Of course, I'm on other social media platforms, but I really wanted to go into the rawness and depth of who I am, my story, and share myself in a way, like I said, is creative. I'm a mom, so I need a creative outlet where I can express myself fully. And I just was introduced to Substack, and here we are.
Oh, I love this. So when you saw my call for women to share their stories about voice, what was it about the topic that made you feel that it was important for you to contribute, and what made you respond?
Honestly, I feel it was really personal.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to like my story in childhood of always being outspoken and being told to shut up or don't say that or don't be so challenging. um, I really resonated with finding my voice in midlife. I think that's what really struck a chord with me. I'll be 44 this year. I'm a mom, housewife, and so I have lots of duties and responsibilities, but I have been able to create a life that comes from my heart and my voice and my values, but it's not always been that way. And, it's not always been that way. I find that I've always had a voice. I've been outspoken. I align with the martyr archetype. I'm always the first one to speak up. And I think growing up, that caused a lot of problems for me to where I would get in trouble or you need to stop, don't be that way. And so it created a pattern of really, I want to say choking my voice. That's really what it
Mhm.
was like being suffocated, shut down, caged, and almost choked where I couldn't say anything anymore. But that has changed.
Mm. And you shared in the article about your relationship with your own voice. And without giving everything away from the article, can you tell us a little bit more about where you were and what shifted for you?
Recently, I have been very much stepping into leadership, visibility, authentic visibility, sharing my story, my philosophies, and being really visible. And I feel like that was a major stretch for me coming out of 7 years postpartum to back here I am, and I've got something to say. I was starting to notice that the environments and the places I had been held, of course, and nurtured for a few years really couldn't hold me anymore. I felt like I had come into this space of like full visibility. I couldn't be just a participant anymore. And it was ironic that it was going both ways. Like I felt like I needed to step away and do something that was more me and had me in a leadership role. And the leadership was feeling the same way. Like you've grown so much. I love who you are. It's time for you to fly. So I thought it was really ironic that we were both feeling that growth spurt of like, it's time for us to go our own ways. And it just really came down to like, this is how I am and who I am, and I need to follow my heart and my mission. And that means go big and go bold.
Hmm. So tell us a little bit more about your experience with your voice as a kid and as growing up.
I would say the foundation of my work stems at the home and heart and nervous system regulation because of my growing up. My dad was in the military. We were often moving. Anytime I felt a sense of self or had relationships growing up, I would always have to leave them and move and start over again and again and again. And I feel like it was really disruptive to finding myself and my whole voice and having the power to say, I want to go this direction. I more or less was kind of forced to go along for the ride. And that's why I've cultivated this work because our environment reflects how we feel about ourselves. And
Mhm.
so, being in all these other spaces where I wasn't the one in charge, I had to kind of just go with the punches. It shifted my perception as becoming my own homeowner and wife and mother, of being expansive and allowing everyone to have a voice and a say in everything that was being created because I didn't get that.
Mhm. So tell us more about the growing up part, because you said your dad was in the military. What did you feel like in that your voice was not valued in your home, or was it other places that it wasn't valued?
I would say that my dad was a military man and he was often gone. And my mom was working, and I was the oldest. So I was the one in charge, taking care of everything, being the protector, being the mother, being the nurturer, and the cook as a child growing up. But when my dad did come home and was in the house and the environment, it was chaotic because he was an alcoholic.
Mm.
And he could be very aggressive and angry, and oftentimes break things in the house. And that was just kind of, I had to become accustomed to creating safety for myself and for my brothers. But there was also a lot of loss in the home. Anything that had value or had sentimentality was often pawned or sold off
Mm.
because of my dad. And so I felt like it was instability, loss. I had to be the protector and the mom instead of being the child. And I got to switch that when I had my own son, and I get to live vicariously through him and really be alive in my childhood through having my own.
Mhm. And you said that in the article, you said you were made to believe that you weren't enough and that your voice didn't matter and what I wanted or needed didn't carry any weight.
Yeah.
That just really, that one hit me hard when I read it. I mean, your interview was so powerful, what you wrote to me. And I just was like, I wanted to tell more of your story and I couldn't make it all about like I had so many women and I each one was so powerful and I thought I can't write one for each one of these women and I really wanted to, and so that's why I brought everybody on, the people that I brought on for Substack Live, because they were so powerful and I just thought I can't, is in the written word, can't do it justice, and so that's why I wanted to bring you on. Tell
Mm.
us more about this belief that you weren't enough and that your voice didn't matter outside of what you've already told us.
Well, I definitely feel like I didn't have any control or anything that I felt didn't matter. It wasn't going to sway the situation. And so it really just made me rebellious in my voice because I definitely feel like what I had to say mattered and I had value in what I was saying. And I would always advocate for myself and for others, but it often got me in trouble. Instead of creating success and like, yay, way to go, fight the power, like be in your heart, save the children and kittens, I was always getting in trouble for it, and shushed, we don't disrupt. And so it really just, what I was feeling to be true, I had to start shushing it and keeping it to myself so that I would not get in trouble and I could live still in freedom. But I think it shifted because I learned to be more in compassion instead of aggression,
Mhm.
and learned to regulate my nervous system instead of always wanting to fight. And so I've learned a lot about myself and my voice, and that my voice does matter. And I am coming from my heart, and it tends to be accurate. if I'm speaking up. It tends to be what's really going on. And so I've learned to, in a more healthy way, express myself, and be more respectful with that expression.
And I think you've probably experienced this as you've gotten older. Like in midlife, you start to find there's a voice that you've suppressed for so long, and you're like, oh, now I have permission to say things that I never were never okay before. And I'm 52, so like it's been a journey to find that, and I feel like it's just really come in the last 3 or 4 years for me to find that part of me. So um I just I love what you're saying. So tell me, there was one. Let me go back to my questions.
Yeah, I feel like the word reclamation is coming forward. It's like
Mhm,
reclaiming my power, reclaiming my truth, but more in a healthy, more elevated way.
mhm. So, what is one thing that you know now about your voice and how you communicate in a way that, like, you wish you had learned old when you were younger, or maybe tell us about how that's all come about?
I would say that I never lost my voice. I feel
Mhm,
like I've always had a strong voice. I've just really needed to learn how to use it in a way that could be powerful and effective instead of destructive.
mhm,
That's something that I feel like I've learned through my own healing and evolution. I never lost my voice. I just needed to learn how to use it.
mhm. And how do you use this in your work? I know you work with interior design, and so how are you finding that your voice is coming through that? And I can say, like, Scylla most mentioned your jewelry, and the background in your room is just
Thank you.
beautiful.
I It's really recognizing the home as a mirror, and that's how I guide women is being a reminder that you are the queen, you are the head of household. Most of the creative energy flowing in your home is coming from you. And I think with a lot of women, we have so many responsibilities and so many different hats that we are using. I bring you back to yourself. Let's look at who you are and
Mhm,
what's in your home that's reflecting your true story. And I feel like I've had a lot of success because your home is absolutely a mirror of who you are, your experiences, what you've collected, even memories of sadness and pain. And those are things that we tend to hide in the drawers, but they
mhm.
carry the most power.
Yeah.
And that's when I come into your space, we bring in light, we align to who you truly are authentically, and we carry that light through your home and start opening up spaces where you put things that are hidden. And I share it as a guide for people to really navigate into who you are and seeing yourself fully in these hidden items, because emotion and memory attach to physical objects that we carry. Some people accumulate a lot, and some people don't even know what they have. And
Mhm,
so, me, I've done this work for myself in my own home. I feel I'm very skilled at pattern recognition, but also being a special needs mom and needing to create an environment that's safe and calm. I know how to do it. And so I've been able to go into other women's homes and be a guide and a way shower, and getting them to feel safe in their own medicine and reminding them who they are through the things that they have.
mhm. Oh, I this is resonating with me so much because I just painted my old office for my daughter. That's going to be her bedroom. It's now her bedroom, and I've moved into her space now, and it's just like I feel that my husband was cleaning out the closet, and I'm like, I didn't even know I still had that. Like, I was a
Mhm.
quilter for years. I still sew, like, and I was a knitter. And so there are things that would just went in the closet and I didn't even think about until he was pulling all the stuff out. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? Like, I remember somebody saying that, your energy, your stuff requires your energy. And oh my gosh, yes, I have piles on the floor right now. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with them. I just don't.
Yeah, and then seeing your home as its own being
Mhm,
itself, like you're in a relationship with your home. And so your home needs your attention. It's holding everything that is you
mhm,
organically. And so we build a better relationship with our home. We build a better relationship with ourselves. And there's so many stories I could share about the treasures that we find that people just put away. Think about the attic. Like, let's go on an adventure in the attic and see what we find. To me, it's fun and exciting. And I've experienced instant transformation when people find those items that hold emotion, like a quilt, even the grandmother's quilt, like that holds energy and power and heart. And so I
mhm.
just want to remind people it's in your home.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to go through your home or to go through somebody else's home, especially if, after they've passed away, and things that were so sentimental to them, they just have no sentimental value, and we tend to hold on to those things because we're like, well, this was my grandmother's. But having moved several times, like, I don't want to keep track of all of this stuff now. Sometimes I just,
Heavy, big,
yes,
old.
yes, yes. And I, there are photo albums, and oh my gosh, there are so many photo albums, and I don't know half the people in them. Like, I don't, but I just can't get rid of them because they just feel like it's a part of that person that I don't want to not honor them. Does that make sense? And it just,
But you can. Like some of the things that we found, we've been able to like, for instance, a clock. Someone's grandmother was a clock collector and she had an old clock that she had just been, like you said, carrying from house to house, putting it in the closet, putting it in here. It was under the bed. And I said, this is a portal. This clock is a
mm,
portal. Think of it. You can send healing backwards through this time clock and send healing forward to your ancestors in the future. So there's really ways that it can be useful.
mm,
Think of it as a portal of time and space connecting to your lineage where you now have it.
yeah,
Let's put it to use. Let's bring power to it and even have it out where you can see it.
mm,
And that's what I think is really fun about my work. Like I said, it's a treasure hunt, and
yeah.
people don't realize it until you remind them.
Mhm. So I want to bring us back to the voice part, and I just, one of the things that I found so interesting about your story when I asked about, have you ever been told or directly or indirectly, that you needed to change the way you communicate to advance your career or to fit into a group? You had a really, I don't want to say it, you had a really powerful story. I'm just going to say it that way. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that maybe has inspired you as a woman in midlife and in your work?
I can't remember what story I shared because there's so many stories that I have that revolve around the voice. That's why when you put this out, I said, yes, I have something to say.
So you said that you'd been part of a mother's community for
Oh,
about 4
yes.
years, and that the woman expressed that the way you showed up
Yes, I
didn't
remember.
align with them. So,
I remember, and it was the community that I had been a part of for quite some time. And like I said, I was stepping into my leadership and sharing myself more visibly. And I feel like what was happening is I was becoming too influential
mm,
and getting attention. And she would said to me specifically, I want to reframe your membership. I still want you here. I love who you are and I love you being a part of this space, but I need you to not share so much, or like, it was often I was being told, don't share so much. um and what you bring I love, but it doesn't match the framework of what I'm trying to create. And I think it's time for you not to be involved anymore. And it was such a gut wrench. But it was also confirmation of like, yes, it's not holding me anymore, it's not fitting me anymore, it's you're wanting me to tone it down. Don't say so much. Don't share so much. Be quiet. You can stay, but be quiet. And
mhm,
it really just that was the turning point. That was when, like, no, I've done so much healing around my voice and my heart and my expression. I need to go where I can be held and be expansive and be expressive. And it was like I closed that door and four other doors opened at the same time. It was total confirmation from the universe that I was aligning to a bigger space where I could speak.
And that's so fascinating that that's what happens to us. Like we just, at the time, we tend to see it as a disappointment. I'm being rejected. I don't belong. And then, months or years later, we can see that that was actually a door closing, so more opportunities could open. And it's
It was
so hard
instant.
when you're in the middle of it, though.
Hmm. Yeah, and of course I grieved for 3 days, I cried, but then I also really recognized that the universe was closing it on both ends, and it was God source was saying, "This is your time. This is where you need to go." And I feel like the light at the end of the tunnel was so bright. I found exactly the environments that want me to be there, that invite
Mhm.
me to be there, and that are like, here, go, speak. We want you here. And it was an instant shift. I'm so grateful that I listened to my intuition instead of staying in a space that really wanted me to be there, but small.
Mhm. Yeah, and I really value belonging, and I know that like a lot of times we are willing to just fit ourselves into a box because we're like, well, I need to fit in because this is where I've been and this is what I need to do and what I should do, and those shoulds, like, they kill us.
And wanting to be loyal to the other women in the community too. I was part of a circle and
Yeah.
they're my friends and I'm loyal. I'll stay here for you. And I had a reading and it was like, no, this is the life where you choose yourself. You choose your path and your calling.
Mhm.
And that doesn't fit in a box.
Mm-mm.
Doesn't.
No. So, what would you say to a woman who is listening right now who feels like she doesn't have anything important to say or has been told that her voice is too much?
Mm. I would tell them right away that your voice matters and what you say matters, and that there are people out there striving to find that message and to be with people that are like you. And don't make yourself small and settle to feel the belonging, because the more I have shared myself vulnerably and authentically, it has guided me towards those spaces that can hold me, the environments that are elevated, that have the capacity to even match what I'm
Mhm.
here to offer. The way I've been able to find it is just not hiding who I am and sharing myself truthfully. And we all matter, but we have to be navigating our hearts to the spaces that can hold us and give us safety to be authentic.
Mhm. Erica, I would love to know more about um, just what being part of this article meant to you and being part of this project meant to you.
I really feel like it solidified that what I just said, like my voice matters, and that there's people in this world who want me to share my story and to share my vulnerability and visibility, because it empowers others to do the same thing. And if you don't know who I am and you never see me, like how am I going to be an inspiration? I want to be an inspiration. And so I'm just authentically showing up who I am, and it's being attracting what it is that I'm seeking, because I know you're seeking me and I'm seeking you. And that's how we find it, that resonance, when you're really truly beaming out that frequency of authenticity.
And have you found other groups that are just really supportive
And
and
more in alignment.
yeah.
Yeah, more in alignment. I'm a priestess. I need a temple with other priestesses, and I've been invited to Abundant Space, which is locally here in Scottsdale, Arizona, with other women. And it's a collaborative, co created temple space that feels like a home, where we're all feeding the home itself. And that's the foundation of my work, being in home and
Mhm.
being in a co creative environment. And like I said, it was instant. They saw me floating in the ethers and they said, "Come here. This is where you belong." And it just felt so warm and inviting, but to see them and feel it in their eyes that that's where I belong, it just has melted my heart. And like I said, I'm so happy that I've listened to my intuition, and I'm following where my guiding source is leading me.
Mhm. And there's probably a lot of like self-acceptance that's changed for you too, I imagine. Is that correct?
Yes. It really is, and I feel like, seeing myself, even that song, "I Choose Me." "I
Mhm.
Choose Me," I feel like is something that I haven't done my whole life. I've
Mm,
always allowed other people to navigate me, and it hasn't been authentically aligned to who I am. And now I choose me. I have my family, and the ones who can vibe with that, we vibe. And
mhm.
if it's no vibe, then that's okay. That's okay too.
Yeah, yeah. And this summer I just had a download a few weeks ago. Like, this is going to be the summer of self love. So, part of it is like falling in love with our own voice, whether or not it's how we speak or just how we express ourselves, but also like how we need to, the voice that is inside of us is the most important voice that we need to hear. Because for so long, for so many of us, I think that we were conditioned to not love ourselves and not trust our voices and not love the way
Mhm.
we talk. And a couple of other people that I've talked to, we talked about how, um, they didn't like the sound of their own voice. And learning to love the sound of my voice has been a huge thing. Have
Yeah.
you found that for yourself too?
I feel like it goes back to learning how to communicate in a way that's more healthy.
Hmm.
Because I feel like being stifled down at a young age and I have something to say, it tend to come out a bit more aggressive and offensive and can give people the wrong perception of me because I come off with an authority and strong energy. I've learned how to soften, but also recognize patterns being reflected back when I'm communicating to other women, or how it's received or how people respond to it. And it's taken time, because I would say that when someone finds their voice, it tends to come out pretty angry because
Hmm.
it's been shut down for so long. It tends to come out first as rage, and you will hear me. But over time, you learn through practice and clear communication how to soften that voice to where it becomes more powerful and more effective and more anchored. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's where I am. It's taken me a lot of time to navigate relationship building and communication, and having those skills, even in my own marriage, has been a learning lesson.
Hmm. Mm. Oh, this has been so good, Erica. Thank
Yes.
you so much. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap up?
Absolutely. I'm grateful and honored for this opportunity to share and show up and be visible. And if anyone aligns with my work or wants to learn more about me, you can find me at my website, yourlivingaltar.com, on Substack, social media. I love building relationships. I feel like I'm getting a lot better at it.
Yeah, and it's I love that's what I love about Substack is like finding people who are aligned, and it's for me it does not feel as performative as Instagram and like trying to be somebody. That's where I really felt like I was not myself. I would have a voice coming through and I'm like, who is that person? She does not sound like me. And on
Mhm.
Substack, I can record my articles by voice and then have Substack do have Claude do the text, and like that's how a lot of it comes out. So I love that. Thank you so much, Erica. It was so good to chat.
Yes, I would love to be live more often. I think that this is a really great way to show up. I love the writing, but seeing you and feeling you and being in your presence has been such an honor. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And thank you all of you who've joined us. We have
Yes.
19 people live.
Wow, hearts. Everybody gets a heart.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Erica. It was so
All
good to
right.
talk.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.